She wants to make a visit for either tonight or tomorrow morning. We were talking about it last night. I mean, visit her at like 7 a.m.
And welcome everyone to Morning Movement Yoga Flow. My name is Mark Cormier. I'll be with Catherine Cormier this morning. And it's a rainy day here in the Bay, which we're thankful for. And we'll get started. Are you ready, Kathy? All right. How are you today, Kathy?
Feeling great. How about you?
I'm feeling good. Yeah.
Awesome.
Anything you want to work on in terms of your yoga practice?
Just staying
Or
in the
otherwise?
What's that?
Or otherwise?
Just relax.
Relax? Okay, so we'll move a little bit slower maybe this morning.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right, so let's get going. I'll allow you to bring your hands onto your hips, feet hip width apart, and just marching it from side to side. Starting to wake up those legs, starting to find your feet. And then letting those marches get a little smaller, a little slower, until you're grounded and rooted through both feet, but still rocking from side to side. Now finding your center of balance vis-a-vis side to side. And keeping hands on hips, I'll invite you to rock your body away front to back, heel to toe. And initially maybe lifting the heels, maybe lifting the toes. And then again, starting to dial it in, making it smaller and slower, just shifting the weight back and forth. And then finding your center of balance vis-a-vis front to back. From here, pretty much just using your ankles and your feet, circling the circumference of your foot. An excellent way to connect with our center. So it's not a big motion at all. and then taking those little circles the other way. Now coming back center, we have a choice to make, either keeping the feet wide or narrowing your stance to challenge your balance. And the tightest you go would be big toes touch, heels slightly apart. And again, just finding the center of your feet. From your legs, finding your spine. Relax shoulders as you bring your hands to your heart. A light press of your thumb against your sternum as you line up each finger. Without shortening the neck, a slight tuck of the chin as we start to take our attention inward. If you're comfortable with closing your eyes, otherwise softening your eyes, and starting our practice this morning, just watching as our breath flows in and as our breath flows out. And I'll invite you to initially start with a belly breath. So really letting that belly inflate as you breathe in and deflating your belly as you breathe out. Starting to connect with your center in a very elemental way. And we'll start to shape this breath away from the belly breath as we start to move towards a full body breath. On your inhale, breathing into your lungs. And on your exhale, consciously engaging your abdominals as you draw the low belly in and up, concurrently lifting the kidneys in and up, squeezing a little more air out, and providing structural support for our bodies as we move through these shapes and sequences. So big breath into those lungs on the inhale. Exhaling, using your abs to squeeze the air out. Breath into those lungs. On the exhale, using your abs to squeeze that air out. Now moving towards a go-to breath in many flow practices, slightly constricting the base of your throat, adding a slight sound and feel to your breath. And as we flow through our practice this morning, letting the sound and feel of your breath be a focus for your practice. Known as the Ujjayi breath, translated as victorious breath. Some people like to call it the ocean breath because the sound of it sounds like the waves of the ocean as they wash in and out. Now taking the tip of your tongue to the hard palate just behind the teeth. Keeping that connection throughout the practice. Having said that, if it's hard to breathe, feeling free not to do that, of course. But this tip to hard palate connection keeps our jaws relaxed and connects to front and back planes of our bodies. And finally, with your lips closed, adding a slight smile to your face. Opening up the front of your throat so your breath has lots of room to circulate, refresh, and revitalize. Keeping all this, lifting the chin tall for the crown, hands by your side. This feels a little tight to me, so I'm going to widen my stance. I'll invite you to do the same. Relaxed knees, working with our arms and shoulders, inhaling arms up and over the head, inhaling. Exhaling arms down. 2 more times like this. Inhaling arms up. Exhaling arms down. 1 more, breathing in. And breathing out. Keeping those knees soft, adding a forward fold. Inhaling arms up. On the exhale, leading with the heart as you fold. Take a breath to arc the back. Hands can cap the knees. On the exhale, arching the spine as we catch the back of the shins. Inhaling, hinging at the hips, moving towards a neutral spine, leading with the back of the heart, arms out to the side and then overhead. On the exhale, standing tall, hands by our side. 2 more times like this. Inhaling up. Exhaling over. Take a breath to find length as we arc there. Really feel that arc to the spine. That's it. On the exhale, arching. Inhaling, leading with the back of the heart, arms out to the side and then overhead. Exhaling, hands by our side as we stand tall. 1 more time. Breathing in, lifting up. Exhaling, folding. Inhaling, finding length, really find that arc. That's it, really dip the small of the back. On the exhale, puffing out the back as we round. Inhaling, lining up the back of the head with the sacrum as we rise on up. Exhaling, standing tall. I'll ask you to go sideways. Kathy, at home, stay just as you are. And we're going to work some salutation A. And you can feel them. Knock those bricks out of the way there. Breathing in, lifting up. Exhaling, folding. breath to arc the back. Yeah, really feel that. I'm going to try to really articulate this. So dip here, lift here and here. Yeah, nice. On the exhale, arching again. You can catch the back of the shins to traction your shape. From here, back to down dog. And I will not cue vinyasa, so I'll invite you just to find your down dog as you ground down through one hand, grounding down through the other, stepping one foot back, and then stepping the other back. Relax neck, heavy head on this first down dog. And then I'll invite you to walk your dog side to side, bending one leg and then the other, stretching long to that opposite heel. Just seeing how your body feels this morning, what feels tight, what feels right, what feels somewhere in between. If you want to add a little shimmy of the shoulders, a little shake of the head, keeping it loose, keeping it relaxed. From this place of movement, moving back towards stillness, long arms, long legs, long spine, deep full breath. On the tail end of a breath, bending the knees ever so slightly, lifting the tailbone a little bit higher, more space in that low back, and then looking between the hands as you mindfully make your way to the front of your mat. Take a breath to arc the back when you arrive, so hands can cap the knees, that's it. On the exhale, rounding the spine. Inhaling, moving towards a flat back, arms out to the side and then overhead. Exhaling, standing tall. Second one just like the first, except this time I'll invite you to find your vinyasa. Inhaling, arms out to the side and then overhead. On the exhale, finding your forward fold. Take a breath to arc. On the exhale, arching as you ground on down, keeping the elbows soft as you find a push-up. You know, we call it chaturanga, so keep those elbows soft. Feel free to use the knees or not. There's your push-up, exhaling. Inhaling either into a cobra, the hips stay down, or lifting the hips up for your up dog. And feeling free to use the knees or just rolling over the toes as you stretch it back to your down dog. Again, I'll invite you to walk that dog from side to side, keeping it loose, keeping it liquid. Just checking in. What feels tight, what feels right, what feels somewhere in between. And then from this place of movement, moving back towards relative stillness, long arms, long legs, long spine, deep full breath. And then on the tail end of our breath, bending the knees ever so slightly as you lift the tailbone a little higher. And then looking between the hands as you mindfully make your way to the front of your mat. Let me take a jump. Take a breath to arc. Yeah, that's it. On the exhale, arching. Inhaling, hinging at the hips, moving towards a flat back, and now maybe adding a little back bend at the top, glutes engaged. On the exhale, neutral spine, hands by our side. Let's do one more sun salé. We'll throw a moving plank into the mix. Inhaling, arms up and over the head. Again, you might add that little back bend at the top. On the exhale, a big swan dive over. Take a breath to find length as we arc. On the exhale, arching as we fold. Now keeping the elbows soft, finding your push-up. Yeah, so try not to lock those elbows. It's a little healthier for the elbows. Nice. You have to use a little more of your strength. Exhaling down, finding your push-up. Inhaling, finding your back bend, up dog or cobra. And then rolling over the toes. Feel free to use the knees as you stretch it back to down dog. Feeling free to hold your down dog or choosing a child's pose, your choice, at home. For the purposes of this class, I'll ask Kathy to come forward to plank pose, inhaling. And then on the exhale, navel to spine, lifting hips high. 2 more times, keeping it simple. Inhaling forward. Exhaling, drawing it back. Inhaling forward. Exhaling, drawing it back. Now I'll ask her to take it further. Inhaling forward, now finding an up dog with tucked toes, hips get heavy, shoulders stay engaged. And then navel to spine as we lift the hips high. Make sure that feels okay on your back. And again, I gotta remind myself to unplug that phone. Inhaling forward. On the exhale, navel to spine as you lift the hips high. One more time if you want to work that up dog into it. So you want to let those hips get heavy, inhaling forward. There it is. And then exhaling, drawing it back. And then holding for another couple of breaths. Disengage the phone there. As we hold our down dog, coming back to an even breath. And watching that breath as it flows in. And as it flows out. From down dog dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail end of that breath, bending the knees ever so slightly as you lift the tailbone a little bit higher. And then looking between the hands as you either step or take a jump to the front of your mat. Take a breath to find length when you arrive. On the exhale, folding again. Inhaling, moving towards Urdhva Hastasana, hands over head pose. Maybe adding that little back bend at the top. On the exhale, neutral spine. Sun Salutation B, flow style. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart, knees over toes as we inhale into a chair. Exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up, glutes engaged, the supportive back bend at the top. On the exhale, a big swan dive over. Take a breath to arc the back. On the exhale, arching the spine as you ground down, and making your way back to down dog as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back, your choice. Nice, and I love the way you move, Kathy, so deliberate, so mindful. An inspiration for us all. From down dog, flow style, big toes touch, heels slightly apart, right leg high to the sky, high on the left toes as we stretch out Achilles tendon and calf, that's it. And then looking between the hands, bringing that right foot through, landing it lightly, spinning the back heel down, arms out to the side and then overhead, find your balance, there's no rush. And then on an exhale, when you're ready, spinning the palms out, finding your low lunge as you spin that back heel up. And then back to down dog, as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back, your choice. And then we'll find our second side here. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart, left leg high to the sky, high in the right toes. Looking between the hands, bringing that left foot through, spinning the back heel down, take your time, find your balance. Arms out to the side and then overhead, inhaling. And then riding your exhale back to low lunge, and from low lunge, back to down dog, as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back, your choice. And as we hold our down dog, I invite you to put your mind in your hands, grounding down to the base of the fingers, but drawing the center of their palm up towards the shoulders as we draw the energy up from the floor. You might visualize your arms as two straws, and those straws are drawing the energy up. From down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail end of that breath, bending the knees ever so slightly as you lift the tailbone a little bit higher. And then looking between the hands as you either step or take a jump front. Take a breath to find length. Exhaling, folding. On the inhale, stay low. We'll come back to our chair. Exhaling, taking it lower, more strength in our legs. On the inhale, rising on up, glutes engaged to support a back bend at the top. On the exhale, neutral spine. Let's do one more beat. We'll throw a hip opener into the mix. Inhaling into our chair. Exhaling, taking it lower. Inhaling, rising on up. On the exhale, a big one dive over. Take a breath to arc. Exhaling, arching, and then grounding on down and making your way back to down dog as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. If you do want to try to get those thighs up, that would be an option. From here, big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Right leg high to the sky, high in the left toes. Keeping that right shoulder anchored, twisting from the torso, lifted leg straight as we stack the hips. Now bending that lifted leg, opening up that hip. And then looking between the hands, bringing that right foot through, spinning the back heel down. Arms out to the side and then overhead. Inhaling. You might even add a little back bend here. And then spinning the palms out. As you find your low lunge, spinning that back heel up. And then back to down dog, as you will. You're going to take your time. Find your breath. Follow your flow. Nice. Yeah, if you want to lift the thighs on that up dog, I'll definitely invite you to do that. I think you'll enjoy it. It's a nice stretch for the feet. Second side. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Left leg high to the sky, high on the right toes. Keeping that left shoulder just as it is, twisting from the torso, lifted leg straight as we stack the hips. Now bending that lifted leg, opening up that hip. And then looking between the hands, bringing that left foot through, spinning the back heel down, arms out to the side and then overhead. Inhaling. And then on the exhale, back to low lunge. And from low lunge, back to down dog as you will. And I'll cue you this time. Exhaling down. On the inhale, unfurl the feet, really pull back and see if you can get the thighs to lift up. Yeah, even more. Yeah, can you get those thighs up? They're up. Excellent. And now rolling over those toes. You don't have to use the knees if you do that. Coming back to your down dog and holding your down dog. As we hold down dog, different options. We've worked a relaxed neck and a heavy head. You might also lengthen through all sides of the neck as you look back towards your navel. So a nice stretch for the neck, if it's comfortable. From down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, bending the knees ever so slightly as you lift the hips a little higher. And then looking between the hands as you step or take a jump. Take a breath to find length. Exhaling, folding. Nice arc on the back on that one. On the inhale, back to our chair, knees over toes, hands overhead. Exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up, a little back bend at the top, glutes engaged to support that action. On the exhale, neutral spine. I'll allow you to bring hands back to the heart. A light press of your thumb against your sternum as you line up each finger without shortening the neck, a slight tuck of the chin. Coming back to that internal focus, watching as our breath flows in and watching as our breath flows out. Lifting the chin tall through the crown, hands by our side. Hands find the hips as we either step or jump our feet hip width apart. Working with our fire breath, short, sharp exhalations out through the nose as we inhale, arms up to one side. On the exhale, passing hands through center. And second side. We're halfway done. Couple more each way. One more each side. And then back up and either stepping or jumping it back in. Sun Sal C. Again, I'll ask you to go sideways, Kathy. At home, stay just as you are. Inhaling into our chair. Exhaling, taking it lower. Inhaling, rising on up. On the exhale, a big swan dive over. Take a breath to find length. And then breathing out, grounding on down as you make your way back to down dog as you will. Take your time, find your flow. From down dog, we'll start that same hip opener here. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Right leg high to the sky, high in the left toes. Keeping that right shoulder just as it is. Twisting from the torso, lifted leg straight as we stack the hips. Now bending that lifted leg, opening up that hip. And then looking between the hands, bringing that right foot through, spinning the back heel down, arms out to the side. And then overhead for our warrior one. And let's play with a balance pose right off the bat as we bring hands to the hips, spinning back heel up, taking a big step in, moving towards our warrior three here as we start to float that back foot up. Working arm variations. We can keep hands on hips so we can stretch hands back, shoulders stretch away from the ears. Now stretching hands out wide across the front of the heart. And now sweeping those hands front and lifting the face to look through those hands as if you're holding a large glass ball. Front hands come back to the heart. Heart hands become hip hands. Landing that back foot lightly for warrior one prep and finding a length of stance that works for you. Yeah, so take your time. With our hands on our hips, we can square our hips front. Now bringing the tips of our fingers to our shoulders to relax our shoulders and square our heart front. Now finding a clasp of the fingers behind the head, pressing the head into the hands, open heart, open throat, elbows wide to the side. And then stretching those hands high to the sky. From here, adding breath and movement, straightening the front leg without locking the knee as we gather up the energy. Exhaling cactus arms as we offer it out. 6 times, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. We're halfway done here. Breathing in, breathing out. Last 2, breathing in, breathing out. Last 1, breathing in, breathing out and holding. The elbows move back, the hands come with. I'll invite you to ripple your fingers, keeping our hands supple. From here, let's bring hands to hips as we use our hands to turn warrior 1 hips into warrior 2 hips. Opening up the hips to face the side. If you want to reverse your orientation, go for it at home, stay just as you are. Kicking the back foot in for heel to arch alignment. And then finding one long arm, looking out over those front fingers with a steady yet relaxed gaze. You might even put a little extra energy in those front fingers, almost like you're casting a spell. From here, painting rainbows. We're touching our third eye as we scratch our forehead. Breathing in. Breathing out back to warrior 2. 6 times. Breathing in. And breathing out. You might even go bigger on that. Breathing in. Yeah, there you go. And breathing out. Breathing in. And breathing out. Yeah, really feel it. One more time. Breathing in and holding that reverse warrior. You might spin the palm back. Yeah, reaching up higher, reaching down further, finding more space between each rib, and breathing into that space. From here, turning the reverse warrior back into warrior 2. Take your time. Transitioning to the triangle. Thumb and forefinger find crease of hip and base of rib. Deepening that crease, lengthening those ribs. Nice. And then grounding bottom hand down, either on shin, or if you have a yoga elf, maybe the yoga elf brings you a brick or 2. We can use that top hand to good effect as we bring it onto our ribs. And we want to rotate our ribs up. That's nice. Now we want to bring the hand to the shoulder to add the shoulder. Nice. And then stretching that hand high. As we hold the shape, with every in-breath, gathering energy in your center of balance, 3 or 4 fingers below the navel. With every out-breath from your center, finding more length through the legs, the arms, and both ends of the spine. Nice. Feeling free to hold your triangle, or moving towards the half moon balance challenge. At home, I'll suggest shifting weight onto the front foot as you take a big step in. Kathy, you might want to adjust yourself in terms of the frame. Right hand off to the right, using appropriate height. And make yourself a nice wide box there so you've got lots of foundation. Starting to lift that back leg. The orientation of the hips is still towards the side. We can use that top hand again as we bring it onto our ribs to rotate our ribs. Now adding the shoulder. Now stretching hand high. Either looking down, off to the side, or up to the sky. And again, with every in-breath, gathering energy in your center of balance as the diaphragm stretches down towards the navel. With every exhale, with every out-breath, the diaphragm relaxes and domes up to the heart on an impetus, sending energy out through both arms, both legs, both ends of the spine. And finding a place to look that works for your breath and balance. Down to the ground, very grounding. Off to the horizon, a little less so. Maybe challenging your balance as you look up to the sky. Or not. Coming down easefully, top hand finds the hip. We'll invite you to land a short stance. There you go, no big deal. Shifting the weight into the feet as hands find the hips. Shifting weight onto the front foot to lengthen your stance, and you'll do what you have to do to stay in the frame. As you come back to your warrior 2. And from warrior 2, a big windmill of the arms as you make your way back to low lunge. And from low lunge, back to down dog as you will, either cycling through vinyasa, stretching straight back, or making another choice instead. Always finding a good balance between your effort and your ease. Wherever you choose to work. Coming back to Samarvriti, same breath. Long, slow inhalation. Matched by a long, slow, or long, equally slow exhalation. So let's keep our heat going. We're not going to do a big prone sequence today just because it's hard to see on the camera. But I'll invite you to work that moving plank again. So inhaling forward to plank pose. And then on the exhale, navel to spine as we lift the hips high. A couple more times like this. Inhaling forward. And yeah, wait. You want to hold it a little bit. Slow breaths here. Inhaling forward. Exhale it back. Now taking it further, I'll invite you to add up dog with tucked toes. Inhaling forward, hips get heavy, shoulders stay super engaged. Navel to spine as you lift the hips high, exhaling. Nice. Inhaling forward, letting those hips get heavy, shoulders stay engaged. And then navel to spine as you lift the hips high. One more time here. Inhaling forward, letting those hips get heavy, shoulders stay engaged. And then navel to spine as you lift the hips high and holding your down dog for another couple of breaths. And we'll start the sequence with that same hip opener. So big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Left leg high to the sky. Keeping that left shoulder anchored, lifted leg straight, twisting from the torso as we stack the hips. Now bending that lifted leg, opening up that hip. And then looking between the hands, bringing that left foot through, spinning the back heel down, arms out to the side, and then overhead for our warrior one. And take your time, and if you want to. So Kathy, she's very camera conscious. At home, you don't have to do that, so you don't have to switch your orientation. From here, we're moving towards our warrior three. And I like the fact she's camera conscious. She's an excellent yoga model. Hands are going to find the hips first. We're going to steer those hips forward. Now 4 fingers, find the tip of a thumb. We're going to bring the tips of our fingers to our shoulders, relaxing our shoulders and squaring our heart front. Now finding a clasp of the fingers, and if you want to find the other clasp behind the back of the head, so you walk the fingers one over, and then pressing the head into the hands, open heart, open throat, elbows wide to the side. Keeping that, we'll stretch those hands high. Now, did we do all that before the warrior three last time, or did we do the warrior three?
Oh, we did the warrior three before.
First. All right, so let's get that warrior three in here. We'll bring hands back to the hips. We'll spin the back heel up. We'll take a big step in. Yeah. And we're starting to float that back leg any amount. You can work this warrior three low to the ground. You can work a little less low depending on where your balance is this morning. Stretching hands back as we stretch the shoulders away from the ears. Stretching hands out wide across the front of the heart. Now sweeping those hands front and challenging your balance as you lift your face to look through those hands, as if you're holding a large glass ball. From here, we can bring hands to heart. We can bring hands to hips as we land our warrior one and finding a length of stance that works for you. So we already did the hip, shoulder, and heart and throat work. So now I'll invite you to stretch those hands high. From here with the breath, gathering up the energy, inhaling. On the exhale, cactus arms as we offer it out. 6 times, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. We're halfway done. Breathing in and breathing out. We have 2 more to go here. Breathing in and breathing out. Last one. Breathing in, breathing out and holding. Awesome. Elbows move back, hands come with within those fingers. Beautiful. Now we'll bring those hands back to our hips. We'll turn warrior one hips into warrior two hips as we open up the hips and narrow our stance. And then finding one long arm. Looking out over those front fingers with a steady yet relaxed gaze. You might put a little extra energy in those front fingers, almost like you're casting a spell.
I'm not supposed to point. I can get it. It's called harassment.
Casting a spell. Well,
That's why it's been outlawed.
Well, maybe then feel free to spin your palm up and
I invite you.
And then we're going to do that as we paint our rainbows. Inhale. And the back hand goes down. So big rainbow here. So both hands work. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. We're halfway done. Breathing in and breathing out. Last 2. Breathing in and breathing out. The last one will hold. Yeah, reaching up higher. Reaching down further. Finding more space between each rib with every breath. Nice. And then turning reverse back into warrior two. Thumb and forefinger find crease of hip and base of rib. We're going to deepen that crease and lengthen those ribs. Yoga Elf's going to position your bricks. But you can use your shin at home. Grounding that bottom hand down, we're going to bring top hand to the ribs to rotate the ribs. Hand finds the shoulder to open up the shoulder. Now stretching hand high to the sky. And finding a place to look that works for your breath and balance, either down, off to the side, or up to the sky. And if you go a little If you make an option that's not right, you could always back off. And again, as we breathe in, gathering energy in our center. As we breathe out from your center, connecting with the periphery of the room as you get longer through all four limbs in both ends of the spine. Feeling free to stay here, moving towards your half moon. So at home, shifting weight onto the front foot, big step in. Kathy might do some other footwork here just so she stays centered in the camera. As she sets her base, take your time. Anytime we rush into a balance, it usually does not help. Yeah, so finding your balance. Don't rush. And again, we can use that top hand as we rotate our ribs, adding the shoulder, stretching hand high. And either looking down, off to the side, or up to the sky. And again, as we hold the balance challenge, breathing into our center. And then from our center, sending energy out into space as we find more amplitude in the shape with every breath. Yeah, what's that top hand doing? Just kind of hanging out. And the top hand finds the hip. Let's land a short stance. No big deal. Shifting the weight into the feet. Hands find the hips. Lengthening the stance as we shift weight onto the front foot to lengthen our stance. And then finding one long arm coming back to our warrior two. And from warrior two, when you're ready, a big windmill of the arms as we find our low lunge. And from low lunge, back to down dog, as you will. Take your time, find your flow. And from down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, bending the knees ever so slightly, lifting the tailbone a little higher, and then looking between the hands as you either step or take a jump front. Beautiful jump. Take a breath to arc. Yeah, there you go. On the exhale, arching. On the inhale, back to our chair, knees over toes, hands over head. Exhaling, taking it lower, more strength in your legs. Now on the inhale, rising on up, glutes engaged to support a back bend at the top. On the exhale, neutral spine. Facing the camera, I'll invite you to bring hands to heart. This time adding an isometric engagement as we press the palms together, elbows wide, a tuck of the tail, a tuck of the chin, connecting with the strength of our center. And then lifting the chin tall through the crown, hands by our side. From here, hands find the hips to shift weight to the right foot, angling the right toes out just a tad to open up the right hip, and then bringing left ankle on top of the thigh. Standing half lotus or standing swan, starting to sit down in an invisible chair. Working arm variations as we stretch hands down. We stretch hands out. We spin the palms up and sweep those hands high, maybe lifting the face to look up to the sky. High hands become hard hands. Hard hands become hip hands. Straightening the standing leg as we lift that left thigh high, toe points down for the flamingo. Take your time. And then leaning a little bit forward as we draw energy into our center of balance as you lengthen through that leg without dropping the thigh. Soft point to the toe. Lifting that leg a little higher. And then flexing the foot as you sweep it on through, and I'll ask you to face sideways here. As we come back to our warrior one, arms out to the side, and then overhead. From warrior one, let's bring hand to the hip of the front leg. So I think, yeah, right hip, yep. We'll find length on the left side, reaching up. Moving towards a twist as we reach. Starting the twist with the wrist. We can slide to the elbow, finding your prayer hands, either looking down off to the side or up past that top elbow. We're twisted, we're balancing, still finding a deep, full breath. Coming out of our twist easily as we frame front foot with both hands. You're going to find your low lunge as you spin that back heel up. And then back to down dog as you will. So we've got right foot front, left foot back. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Okay, we're going to stay on the left side here. So you're going to move back to down dog. From here, we're moving towards our swan, also known as the pigeon. We'll start with that hip opener. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart. We're going to stay on the left side. So left leg high to the sky. Keeping left shoulder just as it is, twisting from the torso, lifted leg straight as we stack the hips. Now bending that lifted leg, opening up that hip. And you're going to keep that knee joint closed. You're going to bring left knee towards left wrist. Settling the hips as you walk the right foot back. Eventually unfurling the foot to stabilize the shape. From here, finding the tips of 10 fingers, shoulder blades back and down onto the back. And then keeping a sense of space as you walk yourself forward and taking your time as you traction your back. At a certain point, letting the pose relax, and I know we were talking about this yesterday in live class, either keeping the palms down, or maybe your shoulders want to spin those palms up. Nice. Now from palms spun up, I'll invite you to spin the palms down. As you walk those fingers back, the tips of the 10 fingers again, as we come on up, we're going to set the shoulder blades back and down. And then finding your flying swan as you draw perineum up towards navel, navel towards heart. Strong core engagement as we sweep those hands high. High hands, I'll invite you to find your bird beaks. 4 fingers find the tip of a thumb and just circling your wrist 2 or 3 times each way. Keeping it loose, keeping it liquid. And then when you're done, losing the bird beaks, grounding down through your palms, pressing hard into the hands, toes are tucked as we lift that left leg up, keeping the knee joint closed. And then very carefully opening up that knee joint as we invite prana to flow back into the leg. And then when you're ready, grounding down through 2 feet as you find your down dog, and either holding your down dog, or if you want to generate some more heat, you can cycle through vinyasa, your choice. Take your time. From down dog, long smooth breath in. Long smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, bending the knees ever so slightly as you lift your tailbone a little bit higher. And then looking between the hands as you step or take a jump front. Take a breath to find length when you arrive. On the exhale, folding again. On the inhale, coming back to our chair, knees over toes, hands overhead. Exhaling, taking it lower, more strength in our legs. Inhaling, rising on up, glutes engaged to support a back bend at the top. On the exhale, neutral smile. Moving towards our standing half lotus second side. I'm going to shift weight onto the left foot, hands find the hips. We're going to bring that right ankle on top of our thigh. Sitting down, if the foot's flexed here, sitting down in an invisible chair. Working arm variations as we stretch hands down. We stretch hands out. We spin the palms up as we sweep those hands high to the sky, and maybe lifting the face to look up through those hands again as if you're holding a large glass ball overhead. High hands find the heart. Heart hands find the hips. Straightening the standing leg and lifting that right, is it right thigh high? Yeah, right thigh high. Toe points down for the flamingo. And now leaning a little bit forward, we're going to draw energy into your center of balance. We don't want the low back to do the work here. As you lengthen through that leg. So you want to feel strong core engagement. Soft point to the toe. Lifting leg a little higher. Now flexing the foot as you sweep it on through. Coming back to your warrior one prep. Hands on the hips. From here, yeah. And now we're going to move towards our twist. So we've got left foot front. So left hand grounds left hip. We'll find length on the right side, reaching up. And then we're going to reach, 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 reach. We can start the twist with the wrist. Sliding to the elbow. And then finding your prayer hands, either looking down, off to the side, or up past that top elbow as you look up to the sky. We're twisted, we're balancing, still finding that even breath, long, smooth inhalation, followed by a long, slow exhalation. You can soften your brow a little bit, third eye, that third eye clear. No stress at all. Even though it's a hard pose. Nice smile on your face. Mm-hmm. From here, we'll come out easily as we frame front foot with both hands, finding your low lunge. And one more time this morning. Back to down dog as you will. Either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back, your choice. So we have that right foot back. So we're going to stay on our right side here. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Right leg high to the sky. High on the left toes. Keeping that right shoulder just as it is, twisting from the torso, lifted leg straight as we stack our hips. Now bending the lifted leg, opening up that hip. Now keeping that knee joint closed as we bring right knee to right wrist. Walking the left foot back, take your time, there's no rush. Settling the hips on down. When you can't go any further, unfurling the foot to stabilize the shape. Your hips look a little, they feel comfortable? Mm-hmm. Okay, make sure it's comfortable. The tips of 10 fingers, shoulder blades back and down. And then leading with the heart, keeping a sense of space in your back as you find a forward fold. So walking those hands front. Take your time. And then as we hold the shape, palms down is a good way to work. Palms up gives a different expression to the shoulders. Whatever sensations you're feeling, just breathing into those sensations. Finding a little more space on the inside. From palms facing up, we can spin the palms back down. We can walk those hands back in. Again, take your time. The tips of 10 fingers, shoulder blades back and down. And then to be able to float those hands high, you want to feel strong, strong abdominal engagement as we draw the base of the pelvis up towards the base of the diaphragm up towards the heart as we float those hands high. And then I'll invite you to find your bird beaks and just working with those wrists, just circling those wrists. Taking it the other way. And then releasing the bird beaks, grounding down through your palms, tucking the back toes, finding your three-legged dog, keeping that knee joint closed as you lift that leg high. And then carefully opening up that knee as we invite more prana, more vitality to flow back into the joint that we compress to squeeze that prana out. Fancy word for blood flow, maybe. And the better our blood flows, the more everything flows, generally, unless there's an open wound and you want to stop that flow. Now, either holding your down dog, and if you did want to do one more vinyasa, go for it. Otherwise, just hold your dog. And from down dog, I'll invite you to land your knees lightly as we move towards a child's pose. Arms in extension, sending the belly back between the thighs, either virtually or physically. Feeling that energetic or physical connection between your belly and your thighs. Connecting with a big ball of warmth in the center of yourself. And again, either keeping the palms down or spinning the palms up. Getting a little different experience in those shoulders. Now walking those hands in, let's bring our feet off to one side. And let's do one pose here that's super fun. I'll ask you to stay sideways here. We'll find a version of the boat pose. As you catch either your ankles or peace sign fingers, catch the big toes. Balancing on the tailbone as we float those feet. And then widening through the legs. Open heart, open throat. A very empowering shape. Hold the shape, feeling more space in the body, just relaxing into the shape, relaxing into the float. And if you have to come down, no worries. That's why the ground's there, to catch us when we fall. From here, I'll invite you to find a butterfly in the air, landing the butterfly lightly. Thumbs catch the insoles of the feet, opening up the feet like a book as we open up our hips. Take a breath to sit tall. And then hinging at the hips, leading with the heart as long as you can as you find a forward fold. And then letting your shoulders soften with a soft tuck of the chin. A great place to breathe into back heart. There's an affirmation that goes with this shape. I go deep within to find all that I need. From here, a tuck of the chin as you roll yourself up. Using your hands to close your knees, keeping the inner thighs relaxed. Long through two legs, we'll do one last roll down onto our backs. Starting from our neutral spine, back of the head in line with the sacrum as we sit tall. Frankenstein arms in front, through your nose. And we won't be here too long. You know, palms down is a great way to work. Palms up is another way to work. I'm going to ring these yoga bells 3 times. And we'll get them on camera. I'll invite you to move your mind before you move your body, bringing your attention back to your breath, watching as it flows in and out, much like watching a river as a river flows by. From this place of watching your breath, I'll invite you to shape your breath, and we'll move away from that even ratio between the inhale and the exhale as we find a long, slow inhale, followed by an even longer, slower exhale, finding a more relaxing breath. Now rippling fingers and toes, inviting more prana, more vitality, more energy into our bodies. And now pressing your back into the mat to support the action of the legs as you draw one knee into the heart, the other knee follows. Hands catch the shins. Using your thighs to gently massage your center of balance, your low belly, as you gently lift and lower the low back and hips. Front to back, side to side, little circles, whatever feels right and good for you. Now reaching back with a hand to lift and tuck the chin, keeping the neck relaxed. Now either hand comes back to the shin or maybe you catch the back of the thighs. We're going to start to rock ourselves front to back as we prepare to come to a sit, massaging our spines. Feel free to go bigger than that. Just really feel it. Then maybe a couple more times, just really massaging that spine, yeah. Oops. And then when you're done, you're done. And as you pop on up, claiming your cross-legged sit. Facing the camera, grounded down through 2 sits bones, hands come onto the knees. Pulling back with our hands to settle our shoulders tall through the crown of the head. I'll invite you to bring your hands to your heart, a slight tuck of the chin. Ending our practice as we started, watching as our breath flows in, and watching as our breath flows out. From this place of breath awareness, I invite you to bow as you thank yourself for practicing yoga, and as we offer our practice out to each other and to the world. The light within us honors and respects the light within you. And in this light, we are one. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you, Kathy, for practicing with me.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank everybody at home for practicing with us. And namaste sounds an awful lot like have a nice day.
Namaste.
We'll see you soon.